Hey, what's going on, family? Welcome back to the channel. Another edition of Esk8 Talk. Got my man Warren with us today. Say what's up to the people.
How y'all doing?
Yo, it's getting warm. All these board companies are coming out with these dope boards, and a lot of people are going to be riding. And I thought it would be great to have a conversation about how do you survive your very first group ride.
Yeah.
So I think one of the first things that's important, Warren, is for people to understand their skill set. So you want to kind of talk a little bit about why that might be important?
It's very important. I mean, because anytime you're actually riding, you really want to know your board. Eventually, the more you ride your board, especially by yourself, maybe sometimes you want to get into a parking lot the first time you ride your board, you really want to make sure you understand it, understand what the limitations are, what the acceleration and the torque is, what the braking is. You really want to get that down pat before you jump into a group ride with a whole bunch of experienced riders that know their boards inside and out.
And that's so key right there. To me, when you e-skate in groups, it reminds me a lot of like when you ride a motorcycle. And what I've seen is when I used to ride motorcycles, you'd have guys that were very experienced, and then they would do 120, 130 miles an hour. And then you got somebody who just got their board a month ago.
Don't try to keep up.
Yeah, and the first thing that they try to do, because that group think comes in, everybody else shoot off.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I don't want to get left behind, and you try to shoot off.
Don't do it. It's not that important.
It's not that important. And
Yeah.
people do the same thing with e-skate.
Same thing.
Is that they'll run out, get a board, and they're like, man, I'm so excited. And they put 6 miles on it, and then they think they can go out and ride in a group ride in the middle of the streets and avoid potholes and stuff like that.
Right.
So I think it's real important for people to know your skill set and get it up first before you go on a group ride.
It takes a while to build your instinct. And so I think, like, just like you said earlier, being able to avoid potholes and avoid streets and know how to ride around cars and being comfortable on your own board, it takes a while to actually build up the momentum. So I think you should actually start riding by yourself and building up that confidence and understanding, especially planning your routes too. Planning your routes is very important. You want to know what streets you're riding on, what the construction is doing, what the potholes look like, you know, where the trolley tracks are, because there's a lot of trolley tracks in Atlanta. So you got to know where everything is at. And once you start building your confidence and knowing the streets, I think then you can start getting out in group rides.
Yeah, that's key, man. I would say take your turn, develop your muscle memory. That's when I used to play sports. You want your muscle memory to kick in when you're riding. You don't want to be thinking, oh, what do I do? That's why you got to get your time up. Just got to put in the time.
Yeah.
All right. So that leads us into another thing I think is really important, Warren, which is hand signals. And I'm really feeling this talk about it.
Yeah.
Because when we ride, even if it's just 2 people with you, still using hand signals.
And it's so crazy. Like, no joke. I use hand signals so much in the street during my group rides that on my ride home from the group rides, I do it when I'm braking in my car. I think I'm joking. I'm in the car, I'm hitting the brake, and I'm going like this, and I'm like, what am I doing? I just do it so much. It's just a natural thing for me to want to signal and let everybody know what's going on. I don't want anybody running up behind me because I didn't let them know I was slowing down. So since I don't have, because I know Boosted, they had the lights where I know they're going down. You know, RIP Boosted, but I remember right before they actually kind of crashed or whatever, they were actually developing the lights that actually had integrated braking on it. And that would have been awesome, but even the way that I am, I still would have just had to have some type of visual signal to let people know what I'm doing. I mean, you throw your hand up to let people know you're braking, kind of wave your hand on the ground to let people know that there's obstacles or like potholes and stuff like that. I just think it's very important to let people around you know what's going on, not only for their safety, but for your safety. You don't want anybody running up on you while you're actually trying to brake or something like that.
And I think every city probably has their own culture about like what it is that they do and when they ride.
Right.
So let's just take them. I mean, some of the signals that we use, we brake.
Just throw your hand up like this. Yeah.
And then I think also one of the ones that's really important, and that everybody should do this. And even when you brake, if one person brakes, everybody needs to hold the signal up so that everybody from front to back.
You don't have to know what that person is braking for. If the person in front of you is doing this, you do it to let everybody know behind you what's going on. I don't care if it's one person. I don't care if you're riding with 40 people. If you see somebody doing this and you're behind them, throw it up, because you're gonna have to stop to permit yourself to stop yourself from running into the other person.
Exactly. And then also obstacle avoidance. Like this is so important to, you know, signal that there's something there. A lot of times we point down or do something like that to let people know there's a pothole right here. There's a train track. It is wet right here. It's muddy. There's leaves right here.
So
I ain't gonna tell them your story.
I'll tell them. Hey,
we ain't gonna tell us.
But maybe another day.
Maybe another day.
Yeah.
But just to let people know what's going on and what they can see.
Absolutely.
Because it's really important, and I think that this probably leads us to another very important point, which is when you're riding, you want to kind of be staggered.
Right.
You don't
Absolutely.
ever want to ride directly behind somebody or ride to where somebody next to you, if they saw something, they couldn't go to the left or right because they have somebody next to them.
That's a great point. Honestly, I try to, for the most part, I try to ride my skateboard like I drive a car. You try to give people enough distance so if the person in front of you slammed on their brakes, would you have enough time to stop before you hit them? Same thing. It's the same concept. Driving around a skateboard is the same thing. You want to stop for lights. You want to look for other cars. You want to look for other obstacles. You want to give yourself enough buffer distance to stop yourself from running into each other. Even before the social distance and stuff, you still wanted to do that. That was always important. That was always important to stay. And it's just like, I mean, we're probably gonna talk about it a little bit more, but it's just like, I mean, that's another little etiquette thing. But carving, you got to be aware of other people around you. So if you're riding up on somebody and you don't give yourself enough distance to stop before, if they slam on their brakes, it's just gonna cause an accident.
Yeah. And what we mean when we say stagger, and we used to do this in motorcycle riding too.
Okay.
You never want to be directly behind somebody.
Gotcha.
Or if you are, you want a very good amount of distance between you and that person. And that's for a couple reasons, because if you're really right up on somebody, you can't see the ground right in front of you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And then also you don't want to be directly on the side of someone because they might need to quickly swerve left or right, and they can't do that because you're in that spot. So you kind of want to be staggered 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of like that, as much as possible. I
even stagger with cars. Even if I'm riding by myself, I don't want to be right up on that car because that car is covering potholes that is not an issue for them. And then I'll go right behind them and I'm running right into a pothole or like a manhole cover or something like that. Something that could take me out that car would have easy rolled over. So I stagger with everything all the time. I want to keep my distance away from everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's real important, when you talk about that distancing and staggering when you're riding.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind when you're riding. And then you were kind of touching on a little bit earlier, Warren, and I think that getting your, like you said, your carve game up. And a lot of people, when they get these boards, a lot of people, the first thing they look for when they're about to buy a board is how fast does it go?
Yeah.
28, 29.
Yeah. And
it's like, that's cool and everything, but you need to be able to have that skill set of carving.
Absolutely.
So like, why would somebody need to know how to carve? Or some people just want to get on and go 30 miles an hour.
It's carving is dope. Like I love it. I do it all the time, especially when I'm by myself. But you have to be aware when you're carving around other people, because sometimes you'll carve and you'll have somebody who doesn't really anticipate your movement back and forth. Like if you're carving in front of me, I'm anticipating how you're going back and forth. I'm not gonna run up and try to pass you or nothing like that when you're carving into the lane that I'm anticipating going into. So it's just like, you have to watch that. And you all, even if you're the carver, you still have to watch for people behind you just to make sure nobody's actually coming into your lane. Every time I switch lanes, every time I'm making some type of turn, I always look. It's same thing with a car. If I'm in a car, I always check my mirrors. But if I'm riding on my board, if I'm carving back and forth, I want to make sure nobody's trying to run up on me on purpose or by accident. Some people try to pass you because they know you're carving and you're having fun, but you have to be aware at all times, whether you're the carver or whether you're behind somebody that's carving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think this is a perfect transition to our next thing is, if you're new to doing a group ride, a lot of times when you're doing a group ride, that might be the furthest that you've probably ever driven on your own.
Right.
And there's probably some things that you need to bring because everybody they might ride longer, or people have different types of boards. They can do 20 miles,
Different
30
range.
miles, different ranges and things like that. So I think it's important to bring specific items almost every time you do a ride. So what are some of the things that you always bring when you're doing your group ride?
Every time I ride, even if I'm riding by myself, but especially in group rides, I always bring my charger with me. Always bring my charger, always bring an extra set of belts, and I always bring my skate tool. Actually, I absolutely have to have those things. Things can happen all the time. Even if you just changed your belt at home before your group ride, bring an extra set of belts if you have them. Somebody needs to bring belts. Because anything can happen. You can get a rock that's up in your belts or something like that. It can break it or anything like that. Anything can happen. So always bring your skate tool, always bring your belt, and always bring your charger. Especially your charger, because I got a boosted board. They claim 14 balls, but because I'm a little bit heavy on 190, I'm not gonna get that. I'm only gonna get about 7 miles, 8 miles tops. So I always bring my charger. A lot of the guys that we ride with, they got trampers, they got Cali boards, they got all these different boards, they got this crazy range, and I'm not gonna get nowhere near that. So we have to stop all the time and get something to eat and stuff like that. So the time that we're sitting and chilling, I could be charging my board. If I don't bring my charger, then I'm out. I have to Uber back home or something like that. So it wouldn't make any sense for me not to bring my charger.
Yeah, and that's what I do too. Every time I ride, I bring my charger. I try to have a skate tool. And then, you know, with the belt, if you have a hub motor board, you don't have to worry about belts.
Yeah.
But, you know, people that have belt-driven boards, from Backfire's coming out with belts. Everybody knows Boosted has belts. Esk8 has belts.
Esk8 Flex.
Yeah. Hey, man, it's coming.
I know.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Look, so you wanna bring those type of things so that you're prepared. The skate tools. Some people do a lot of like accelerate things, like they bring extra like screws and stuff like that. One of the funny things that I think that the guys in our group brings.
I know what you're about to say.
The rope.
Okay. Oh yeah. Now it's sad, but yes, we have used a tow cable more times than I want to admit.
Yeah.
So, and I've actually been told a couple times, and I've told other people. So yeah, one of the guys in our group actually brings like a tow cable because he has a trampler.
Yeah.
So sometimes he has like crazy range. He can ride from like Atlanta to Alabama on like on a Silver Comet Trail. But sometimes boards like my board that only get like 7-8 miles of range, when you're doing like a 13-mile ride or whatever, you got to get pulled sometimes. So he actually brings his own tow cable. That's
and he's told people. I'm gonna put the video up because I've had to get told one time I was riding somebody's Boosted.
Yeah.
And then I think a couple things that you might want to consider bringing that a lot of guys bring that we kind of forgot to talk about was like a portable charger, like for like your phone or your remote.
I bring that all the time.
Yeah. So because a lot of times when you're riding, sometimes one of the quickest things to die is your remote sometimes. Yeah, and you need to charge your remote.
You never think about it because you only have to charge it like maybe once every 3 rides or something like that.
And then you'll be out there and you're like, oh shoot, my remote has got 1 bar. Yeah. So you want to always have like a small portable charger that you would use to charge your cell phone or something like that. And then the cables to actually charge your remote too.
Now, one thing that I just thought about that we started bringing, this essential, I think, for every group ride, a med kit.
Oh.
Because unfortunately, it happens sometimes where people fall, people get anything for small scrapes or something that might take them out for the ride or maybe the next couple of rides. So we've had some injuries, unfortunately, and I think every group ride goes through it. But bring a med kit. Even if it's nothing but Band-Aids and like alcohol wipes. If you don't bring anything but that, at least something to patch somebody up in the field, make sure they're not bleeding all over the place and stuff like that. I think that's very important too. Not everybody has it, but we started recently saying it's important for us to have that.
And then since you said it, I think it's a perfect transition to talk about protective gear.
Yes.
When you talk about medical kit, because nobody ever thinks that they're going to fall.
No.
It's going to happen. In motorcycle riding, we used to say, the question was not, are you going to fall, but when are you going to fall?
And the crazy thing is, I've been riding for 3 years. I finally had my first fall, like maybe like a month, last month.
Yeah,
my first fall.
And he got it on tape.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. If you're gonna fall, get it on tape. Yeah.
But so what are some of the protective things that you use to kind of keep you safe while you're riding?
Well, I'm not proud of it, but I've been riding for maybe like 2 or 3 years. I just started wearing a helmet maybe like last year. Mm-hmm. So I went from just like a burn helmet, which is a pretty awesome helmet. It was just like kind of just protect your dome or whatever. But then I wanted to transition to a real rock full face helmet, and I like it. So it's very important for me to actually wear a helmet.
Yeah.
Before I wasn't wearing it, I was like, helmets look so dumb, and they look dumb on me. But I don't even feel that anymore. I like my helmets now, and I don't really care how they look. But it's important to be safe than worry about how you're looking when you're wearing a helmet. It's super important to wear a helmet. So I never go out without my helmet, and I'm actually starting to build up because after my last fall, I wound up scraping up my hand and kind of damaging my hand a little bit. Nothing serious, but it's important for me to wear like gloves and stuff like that now. So I'm gonna start incorporating a little bit more stuff. I'm not gonna have an Iron Man suit and nothing like that on, but I mean, I'm gonna start protecting myself a whole lot more. I'm getting older, and it's just important to protect yourself.
And these are not regular skateboards. We're going 22, 24, 25 miles an hour. And then if you fall, it's not going to be like, oh, I slid an inch. No, you're going to slide maybe a couple feet and stuff like that. So I'm a helmet person myself. And then I also wear pads. I wear knee pads and elbow pads. And there's different kind of pads out there. I actually wear like kind of the bulky ones. People say they're ugly, but they offer the most protection. They offer the most protection. Because if you fall, you want those things.
And there's different levels to it. I mean, you have the big pads, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I mean, they actually make like jeans and stuff like that. You're probably familiar with it being a bike rider and stuff like that, a motorcycle rider. I mean, they got pants, they got like pads in them and stuff like that. Incorporate everything. I see guys that wear like full-on motorcycle jackets. One of the guys that we ride with wears a motorcycle jacket. And when I first started riding, I said, man, that's overkill. But I have seen so many people fall that have and hurt themselves.
If they had just had something on.
If they would have had something on,
they would have walked away from it.
They would have walked away. They would have laughed that off. But I mean, I've seen people fall to the point where like, I'm just calling Uber. I'm out. This ride is over for me, and you don't see them for like a couple months because
they hurt.
They
get hurt really bad. So pad up. And like you said, even if you don't want to go out, and there's different tiers of when you talk about buying this protective gear. Yeah. Like you said, you have a Rorak helmet. Yeah. And there's other brands of helmet that are very expensive.
It's not for everybody, but I feel confident in.
And and there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. But don't be one of those people that you're riding without a helmet because you're saving a lot of money to buy an expensive helmet. Go out and get something. Go get you a $50, $60 helmet. In the meantime, while you
just
still
like my burn helmet,
money.
It was awesome. It was a great thing to have, and I wound up passing it to somebody who was never wearing a helmet when we was riding. So I was just like, if I'm not gonna use it anymore, I'm gonna pass it on to somebody because I'm not trying to dictate what everybody's doing. This is not the point of the video, especially like the protective gear stuff. We just don't act like you never heard anybody say you should wear a helmet. I mean, just you do what you want with that information, but I'll advise everybody to wear protective gear.
Some type of helmet.
Something.
And like I said, it doesn't have to be a $400 helmet. No. The helmet I wear only costs like $60. It's DOT certified. That's good enough. That's the most important thing. You know what I'm saying? There's people they have companies that have pads that you can just wear under your pants. You don't have to go out and buy like padded jeans. Have those. Exactly.
You wouldn't even know until they start knocking on knees like, damn, I didn't know you had something on there.
Yep. Yeah. Because some of that padded clothing can be real expensive. So don't get nervous or be like, oh, I gotta spend $400. No, go out and get you something that you can wear under your clothes and things like that. And then gloves are probably one of the most underrated things because when you fall, the first thing you're gonna try to do is brace it.
And you try not to. You're always told not to do it. The instinct is there. When I fell, the only thing I hurt was my hand. I hit my helmet on the ground, but I didn't feel that, but I felt my hand. But like weeks later, it's because that's the first thing you do is try to brace yourself, stop yourself from falling. You can't help it.
Yeah. So, pad up, man, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's helmets, protective gear, get the protective gear, man. It's so important because it'll allow you to stay riding more because you have fallen, like you said, and be able to get back up versus have to take 2 months off.
Bro, I'm almost 40. I can't take these falls without no pads and stuff like that. So I want to keep riding. So that's important.
And then you want your wife to keep allowing you to ride.
Exactly. Thank you, man.
That's just as important. You know what I'm saying? I think this is probably going to take us to our last point that we want to make. But before we make it, I want you guys to let's have a conversation down in the comment section. What are some of the things that you would recommend to somebody who's in a group ride? And one of the final things that I kind of want to talk about is don't be afraid if this is your first group ride to let somebody in the group know or the group organizer know this is my first ride. And I think this is important for a couple of reasons because a lot of times when we're riding, we kind of take inventory. Okay, he's new. We've never ridden with them before. We might need to watch out for them and not make sure we're not leaving them behind or things like that. And
knowing that having that information will also dictate our route also. Because like there's a lot of different routes in Atlanta that we can take. We can take like the expert routes, like you stay in the street all the time, or we can take like the
trails.
Yeah, the trails are a lot easier. Like there's a lot of twists and turns, but it's a lot easier and you don't have to worry about cars. And that will actually build your confidence. There's a lot of spaces where we can ride that helps you build your confidence. So let the people know, the people that are organizing the group, hey man, this is my first ride. I'm not super confident, and that would allow us to dictate the routes that we go. I think that's very important.
And you're not gonna look corny. Don't think that the guy's gonna be like, why this guy over here? Because
let people know.
Everybody started somewhere.
Everybody
started somewhere. And perfect example, we had a guy. Well, we actually have a lot of people coming out now, but there was someone that came out and they were riding and they were new. So we made sure we didn't leave them. So at all times, we made sure that it was at least 2 or 3 people with them because when you're riding in the street, you're safer in numbers. So we're not going to leave you back there by yourself because you're new. We're going to always make sure 2 or 3 people are back there with you.
Yeah, the cars respect groups. So if you're a new rider and all of a sudden all the experts take off and leave you, you're going to be sitting there shaking and stiff, and that can cause all
cars riding by you.
Yeah, it's just not easy. So like let the people know who are organizing the group rides that you're new, and people like if you got a cool group like we do, they'll start circulating. Like one guy will hang back with you, a couple guys will hang back with you, or we'll take a different route altogether that would allow everybody to stay together where you don't need a whole lot of speed, but it's still a fun ride though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So keep those things in mind. Like I said, put a comment below. What is something that you do to make sure that you survive and go home every single
Gotta
day
make
when
it
you
home.
do your group ride?
Yeah.
Hey man, we're in Atlanta. You hear these guys? They out here getting it.
They getting it.
But Warren, go ahead and get the people your IG, man.
Okay, it's on IG you can actually follow me at Atlanta_Esk8.
Dope. And then as always, you can check me out on IG at Lansing Phillips. I always tell people, I'll see you at the top because the bottom is too crowded. Peace.
Play moments that went to waste. Why you do that? You drop me like who that? And put me through that. But baby, it's useless. I'm living my life. Don't need you in mine. Me feeling just fine. One of a kind. Who better than I? Oh. Shawty, don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I won't keep you safe. Time that I relocate. Don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I know my place. Shawty, I know my. Got a lot to do. I got a lot to do. I got a lot to do. At the crack of dawn in the dark of night, what I got to do.